Am I the antagonist for kicking a person with Tourette's out of my wedding? I, 25 female, recently got married to my wonderful husband, 26 male. The wedding was beautiful and we all had a great time, but this situation has left me feeling like an AH. A good friend of mine, Macy, 26 female, brought her boyfriend, 29 male, as her plus one. She texted me prior to the wedding that her boyfriend has Tourette's syndrome. I was somewhat familiar with the disease, but made sure to ask her how it affected her boyfriend specifically and what to expect. She assured me it was not severe and would not disrupt the wedding. I had never met her boyfriend prior to this and believed her when she said it was not going to be a problem. I know most people with Tourette's don't have vocal tics at all and assumed that was the case in this situation based on what Macy told me. Just before the ceremony started, I discovered Macy's boyfriend's Tourette's syndrome was much worse than she let on. He was screaming every few seconds and yelled a lot of offensive curse words and slurs. I was upset by this as I felt Macy purposely misrepresented her boyfriend's situation, so I'd let him come, since she said it wouldn't be disruptive. I would have politely declined had I known that he had severe vocal tics. I told my MOH to ask him to leave. Apparently, it turned into a big scene where Macy angrily argued against it and said we were being ableist. Her boyfriend agreed and said he couldn't control it. Security had to get involved and I had both of them removed. Thankfully, the wedding went smoothly after that, but now Macy is calling me an AH. Some of our mutual friends agree that I was in the wrong, so I'm here to ask if am I the antagonist? So, I have chronic illness that can manifest in awkward ways. I also have relatives who have conditions that cause outbursts where they say or do inappropriate things in public settings. When there is an event that is about someone else, it is important to consider how my condition might impact their day. A wedding day is about the bride and groom. While it's disheartening and humiliating to leave a gathering due to your condition, that is what you have to do for the sake of the people you care about. If it were a Christmas party or a casual gathering, this would be different. But it wasn't. It was a wedding. NTA. NTA. As someone with Tourette's, I would be mortified to be in a place, especially a wedding, and have tics. If I knew my symptoms, I would have never shown up to the wedding. Macy was wrong for lying to you or not providing accurate information. And her boyfriend has no right to be upset. He should have known better. NTA, you trusted your friend, but she was completely dishonest when she misrepresented her boyfriend's conditions. You had every right to kick them out for their lack of consideration and disruptiveness. And it's not ableism, it's lack of common decency, in particular your ex-friend. No, he can't help it, and there are definitely going to be plenty situations where people around him are going to just have to deal with it. However, there are certain places he probably should not be going, such as a movie theater or a stranger's wedding. Am I the antagonist for no longer wanting to hire male babysitters? A few years ago, my fiancée and I accidentally became pregnant. After weighing out things, we quickly realized keeping the baby was the best option for us. My wife didn't feel comfortable getting an abortion. We figured that putting a baby in the foster system is very immoral, knowing how much trauma it causes, and giving the baby away to another couple at birth seemed like something neither me or my wife could emotionally handle. The main problem with raising our son comes down to both me and my wife's work-life balance. I'm currently a neurosurgeon resident, which means long work hours. Usually anywhere from 60 to 80 hours in a week, but if I get unlucky, I can easily hit 100 hours. My fiancée, on the other hand, has already graduated and has a pretty decent job. She's the current breadwinner and has a pretty flexible schedule, only working about 40 hours a week. As much as we try to work around each other's schedules, often our work overlaps and we have to hire a babysitter. I'd say this happens about 3 times a week. Around the time he hit 15 months, we both were comfortable enough to leave him with a babysitter. For his sake, we try to keep the number of babysitters small, but sadly, not everyone is available all the time. We cycled between 6 people that regularly babysit our son depending on who's available. 3 of these are male. My son is currently 2 years old, which means that he's learning how to speak. He can even say a few sentences. This is also where my problem arises. We still rotate through the 5 people we found from the very beginning. One has quit enlisting herself on the babysitting site to focus more on her studies. Needless to say, our son has grown very close to said people. Not as close as to his parents, but he's very comfortable around them. But the way he refers to us all has been irking me. My fiancée is called Mommy, the female babysitters are called Baba, the male babysitters are called Daddy, and I am referred to by my first name. My first name is only one syllable and very simple for kids to pronounce. So needless to say, that stings a little. I've been trying to get my son to call me Daddy, but he simply doesn't no matter what I try. Which, I sadly think, is because I haven't been able to spend as much time with him as I want to. But even then, I still see him way more than either babysitters combined, so it doesn't make much sense. I expressed this to my fiancée and told her that maybe we should hire our male babysitters less, if not completely stop it. They both have very good reputations on the babysitting site, so it's not like they'd have trouble covering the hours they'd lose if we stopped hiring them. My wife got annoyed at this and told me that I was being so fragile over a simple word, to which I told her that she'd probably do the same if her infant son stopped seeing her as a mother figure. The discussion blew up more than it needed to, so here we are, in a fight. Am I the antagonist? Info: do you think your son actually thinks they're his dad's, or do you think he just got the words mixed up because he saw other children call male caretakers dad? YTA, not really an AH, but instead I feel you're the one that's in the wrong. It's incredibly important for children to feel comfortable and happy, especially in early ages. You taking away people that mean a lot to him won't solve the issue of him not calling you daddy, which is what this seems to be about. Your jealousy is making you want to sacrifice your son's happiness. You need to remember he's 2 years old, nowhere near being cognitively advanced enough to understand the ramifications of what he's saying or who he's saying them to. To your son, daddy might mean something completely different to the synonym father. To him it may just mean man. The fact you say he calls male babysitters, plural implying there are multiple male babysitters, shows that this isn't a singular case of him calling one man daddy who he relates that one word to. Instead, he's using this one word to refer to anyone that fits a similar schema, similar with Baba, a proto-word, used for the female babysitters. There's a term used in children's language development called overextension, when a child uses a word used to describe something used in language to represent more categories that it should, such as referring to all animals as doggy, or in this case, all male babysitters as daddy, which again, he could just be repeating, as children often do. That doesn't mean he's aware of what he's saying completely. To you, daddy means biological father. To him it can just mean a man who sometimes comes to the house to watch him while his parents are at work. I can understand why it hurts hearing your son call someone else daddy, but you need to remember it's just a word. That doesn't mean your son thinks of male babysitters as their father, and depriving him of those people that bring him comfort could likely have long-term effects on his relationships with others. I recommend you looking up children's language development, as I think it will help with gaining an understanding of how children in the first few years of their lives learn about and use language. YTA, sorry. It's not easy to find reliable childcare. Cutting out good sitters because of your ego is not a good call. Your kid is 15 months old. He has no idea that daddy means a more important or different relationship than whatever he calls you. Work it through with a therapist if you need to, but don't make childcare more difficult over it. Why are the male babysitters letting your son call them daddy? That's so messed up and wrong. They should be correcting your son every time to call them by their names. Letting him call them daddy is completely inappropriate. And for all the people calling you the AH for how much you work, they clearly don't know how residencies work. You don't get a say in how much you're at the hospital while you're a resident. Don't listen to them. Just finish your schooling so you can provide your family with a better life. Am I the antagonist for not inviting my sister's kids to my wedding? So I am 27 female, I'm with my now husband Alan. My sister, 29 female, has a husband, 2 kids already. My wedding is coming up soon and I don't want any kids in it because I'm not a big fan of kids and I don't want anything messed up. I told everyone in our family group chat that I want no kids at all in my wedding. Everyone agreed. I was picking out wedding dresses when I got a text from my sister asking if she could please bring her kids. I told her no, saying that she already saw the text I sent in the family group chat. No kids at all. She called me and said I shouldn't be making her kids left out of the wedding. I said I don't really care, and if she wants to stay home with her kids and figure out something, she can. She hung up on me. A few hours later, my sister sent an entire paragraph saying how her husband, herself, and her kids should be at her wedding. And saying that when I have my own kids, I'll understand where she is coming from. And that if anyone going to the wedding wants to bring their kids, they should. I sent back that I dislike kids and I and Alan will never have any. Maybe pets, but not kids. I told her that if she wants to either stay home or do whatever with her kids or come to the wedding with her husband and herself. No kids at all will be at the wedding. Again, no kids. She told everybody that I hate kids and that she hated people who aren't adults because I find them annoying, messy, etc. She made lies about me because I didn't let her kids come to my wedding. I told her if she talks to me about this again that she and her husband won't be there and can watch it from a video or something. She's making some more lies, I'm sure. After everybody heard the lies, they got mad at me and sent texts on how I was mean and rude. I told them the truth. Some believed me, some didn't. When the day of my wedding came, everybody was early, and my sister, of course, came in my wedding with her kids. Forgot to say that she is very entitled and bratty. Most people looked at her, and she just walked in like nothing was wrong with it. I came up to her fuming and told her that she needs to get those kids out my wedding. She said no, and that they are just innocent kids. And that I'm a witch for not letting them come picking a fight. I told her to leave, and she didn't. So I forced her to leave. And of course people had to say that I'm the a-hole for not letting her kids come when they were already there. And that they were not going to do anything. Everybody is making me feel guilty and like I am the a-hole. Am I the antagonist for not letting my sister have her kids at my wedding? NTA. Wow. Everyone was told the wedding was child-free. Everyone was told you'd understand if people with children chose not to come, yet somehow your sister trying to force her kids on you is supposed to make you an AH? No way. ETA title made it sound like you singled out niece/nephew. That could have been ahish, but a flat-out ban on all kids is fine. NTA. You made your wishes clear and she chose not to respect them. Unlike some Am I the Antagonist posts about weddings, it's not an unusual thing to request no children. Your sister should not have challenged that, never mind doing what she did on your wedding day. It can't have been easy throwing your sister out, but ultimately she had no respect for your day, so deserved it. NTA. You made your choice for your wedding clear. Sister is an AH among other things. It's your wedding. You get to decide the guest list, the guests get to decide whether they attend or not. That's how it works. The guests, including family, don't get to decide if they bring extra guests, kids, or not. Am I the antagonist for not telling my parents that I got promoted and earned more when I could help more around the house? I, 22 female, live with my parents, 50 female and 52 male, and my 2 brothers, 18 male and 19 male. Since I turned 18 and started working, 50% of my salary goes to my parents to help around the house. I earn $1,100 minimum salary, and $550 is for them, the rest to spend as I want. I had the sweet illusion that they would do the same to my brothers when they started working, and I was irritated to learn that the 2 of them paid nothing at home. When I confronted my parents, they said that they earned very little because our interns, they earned $600, and that they would barely have money if paid half. I mentioned the idea of paying less then because I also wanted to have some for myself, but they said no, because it was money they count on. For several reasons that I won't mention, ADD, health-related, my parents' house is adapted for me. It's not that easy for me to move, so I accepted, even though I was annoyed. It's been about 3 months since I was promoted and my salary is double what I used to earn, $2,200. I knew that if I mentioned that I had been promoted to my parents, they would ask to increase the contribution, and I'm still pretty upset that they don't charge the other kids. So I didn't comment and my schedule barely changed. I don't have exorbitant expenses, and I'm saving enough money to actually move and make all the necessary adaptations. My parents aren't in the best financial situation. They are tight, but they insist on not charging my brothers. That money would make a difference. They asked if I could pay 60%, but I said that our agreement was 50%, and I stressed again that their 2 children also work. Well, recently, my mother couldn't get through to me on my phone and called the service, asking about me and if they could pass a message. I think one of the secretaries said something at the end like, "I'll pass the message to the manager then." I was a regular employee. My parents questioned me, and despite trying to deny it, they found out that I'm earning twice as much and started charging for the 50%, $1,100. When I said no, because it was unfair, they invited me to leave the house, since I was not doing what was agreed, so I could very well live alone. I don't think they thought I would go. I'm at my friend's house, it's not easy, and I just paid for the 2 weeks of the month I was there, $275. Since leaving, they've been bombing me saying that they need me to help by paying the $550 or moving back, paying more, and now they're super tight, and that I caused this whole fight by lying to them and not helping around the house anymore knowing they were tight. Am I the antagonist? NTA, you've been paying half of your salary for 4 years, that's enough. They've had all of that time to get themselves into a better financial situation so they wouldn't need your money. You don't owe them. Move out and move on. NTA. You did exactly as they said. I agree that it's unreasonable to charge you that much, but not your brothers. Don't move back. Don't give them any money. Try to not feel bad that you lied to them for a couple of months. NTA. Your parents' finances are not your problem. When you were living at home, paying a portion for rent, etc., at your age was a great thing to do. Taking 50% of your pay wasn't. Not asking your brothers to help out and expecting you to only to help out, that's just insane. OP, moving out was your best option. If you can comfortably stay with a friend, do that. They have no right to your money. If they are having financial troubles, then it is on them to fix their own problems. They don't sound like very good parents, to be honest. I couldn't imagine doing my own kids that way. I want them to have bright futures, and taking money from them that they are trying to save up would be horrible. Again, not the a-hole. Focus on your future and let them focus on theirs. I hope you have been able to save enough to get on your feet and get yourself set up. They are adults responsible for their own finances. You are not responsible. Stick to your decision. I bet once they realize you won't be giving any more money, they'll change their tune about charging your siblings. Am I the antagonist for refusing to give this woman her grandma's wedding dress and jewelry back? I, 26 female, bought a hoarder house back in May 2018. It is a big 6-bedroom, 4.5-bathroom house. When I bought it, the contract stated that I take ownership of the house and everything in it. The lady who owned it died, and her heirs could not deal with the stench and literal mountain of junk and waste in it. You could only open the door not even 8, and some rooms had the junk filling them wall to wall and floor to ceiling. Well, it took me these last 4 years to finish cleaning, fixing, and updating it. While doing the cleaning, I made sure to check everything before throwing it out. Ended with more than $20,000 of money, some nice jewelry and antique furniture, and finally a stunning 40s style, lace-covered wedding dress. This woman took care of that dress until she couldn't anymore, and it took just some minor work to restore it. I currently don't have a partner, but I decided that it would be the dress I will be wearing if I ever get married. While doing the cleaning, I reached to the heirs to pass on some pictures and mementos, Christmas personalized ornaments, some kid artwork, and because of that, I had one of them, 30s F, in my FB friends list. After repairing the dress, I put it on with the jewelry and posted a pic on FB. Well, this woman saw it and asked for the dress and heirlooms back. I refused to give them back, and legally they can't do anything. Also, if they meant that much to them, they should have cleaned the house on their own, not sell it to me. Now she, and all her family, are calling me out on social media. Am I the antagonist? NTA recovering hoarder here. Legally, you are in the right. Morally, you are also in the right. And though I cannot speak for the woman whose things you now own, I can give you insight into how I would feel if I died before I could find homes for my treasures. I would want someone who cared enough to restore and respect the items to have them. You saw the beauty in them, as did she. You didn't just chuck it all in a dumpster. Take them, wear them, be happy to honor the original owner. Her family did not view these things as anything but a hassle. Edit. Thank you everyone for the upvotes, awards, and most of all kind comments. NTA. It's a lot to clean a hoarder's house. They could have hired a service if they were mentally unable to do it, but instead they dumped it on someone else who paid them to take the house and all that's in it. If they cared about the items, they should have offered you money or asked you to keep an eye out. It's yours, you did the work. I don't care how cheap you got the house, it probably doesn't even out like someone said because hoarding houses are disasters, simply put, and it takes a lot to clean and restore them. NTA. They couldn't be bothered to clean out Mom's house and just sold it all bulk. Now it's not theirs anymore. That's what it means to sell something instead of keep it. They had time to claim the stuff and chose not to use it. They could have approached you and offered to compensate you for finding it for them, even. Instead, they've what? Forgot it was there. Waited for you to do the work so they could pressure you? Nope. Morally, it's yours, Imo. Am I the antagonist for sneaking out in the middle of the night with my son because of a comment my husband made? Throwaway, me, 25 female, and my husband Kyle, 30 male, have been married for over 4 years. We share a beautiful 1-year-old son together. Our relationship is mostly solid, but we definitely have our fair share of arguments. A couple days ago, Kyle and I got into a vicious argument. We were arguing over the fact that Kyle thinks I don't make enough time for the two of us anymore. I argued back that we both work full-time jobs and have a baby to take care of. We simply don't have as much free time as we did back when we first got married. He started yelling and accused me of only caring about my job and friends at work. I said that he was being ungrateful because the only reason I work so hard is to help provide for him and our son. The fight only continued to escalate and eventually just divulged into a screaming match. At some point during the fight, Kyle called me a self-centered workaholic bitch. I got upset and said, "Why would you ever call me names? I'm your fucking wife." He responded, "Call you names? You're lucky that's all I did." I felt my heart stop and my blood ran cold. In that moment, I felt incredibly nervous and on edge. I started to cry and stormed into our bedroom. Later that night, I couldn't shake this feeling of dread. I've never felt genuine fear of my partner before. I had this unwavering sense that my son and I weren't safe. At about 1 a.m., I quietly gathered up some essentials, got into my car, and drove off. Kyle was sleeping in another room on the opposite end of the house, so he didn't hear me. I drove about an hour away to stay with my mom. I called her before I left. Around 9 a.m., Kyle started blowing up my phone and demanded to know where me and our son were. I explained to him that I currently don't feel safe around him and we need to be physically apart for a while. He lost it. He accused me of kidnapping his son and that he couldn't believe I would pull a stunt like this over an empty comment made in the heat of the moment. He's threatening to call the cops on me if I don't bring our son back home. I told him that if he wants to see our son, we can meet up in a public place or he can come to my folks' house where I feel protected. He cussed me out and told me to stop treating him like a monster when he didn't do anything. Right now, I'm just trying to calm down and figure out what to do going forward. A couple of my family members are saying that I'm overreacting. They're saying that Kyle is just all talk and everyone says dumb stuff when they're angry. Am I the antagonist? NTA. He threatened you and made you frightened. The actual comment "you're lucky that's all I did" is a threat of violence. It 100% could be meaningless words in the heat of the moment. But his reaction indicates to me it is not. He knows you are frightened and have interpreted his words as a threat, and his response is to be more aggressive and threatening. Really, he should be apologizing and saying he never meant anything like that and be horrified he said it. It seems noteworthy to me that the argument focused a lot on you working, which gives you independence and power. The consequences of you overreacting to this threat seem less serious than the consequences of underreacting. I think you did the appropriate thing. The thing about "it's all talk" is that eventually it isn't all talk anymore, starts with threats just like your husband has started doing. NTA, I have been angry many times in my adult life and not once said anything like "you're lucky that's all I did." Threats of violence toward your spouse are not empty comments. I see why people may have said you're overreacting, but they weren't there with you getting screamed at. I think you're right to go with your gut even if you're overreacting. If he can't see how much he upset you and reevaluate his decisions and make amends, then something is wrong. He needs to cool down and reflect.